All right, then here we are on another day, and it's springtime, and we're doing boat commissioning work. That means that I need to do inventory of my epoxy kit. I do this every year, because every year I use a lot of epoxy. Gosh, I don't know why. All right, let's see what I got. Got a handful of cloth that's in pretty rough shape. I don't think I'll be using that ever again. But got some cups here, measuring cup. Got some 406, about 3/4 full. Some more mixing cups. Haha! The heat gun I was looking for. That's important. I've got a squirt tube. This will come in handy for setting the goo in the windows. Here's some brushes. Brushes are good. Okay, now to the good stuff. Okay, I've got a 7-ounce container of 105 fast hardener, 205, which isn't a lot, but it should be enough for what I want to do. Some solvent, 202, handy for hull cleaning and such. Here's a roller that's in surprisingly good condition. Let's see, got some 404 high density filler. Yeah. So, 404 and 406. This is more of a filler. It's not as dense. Yeah, well, we can bond with it. Bonding with fillets, it's very good at. Whereas this is 404 high density filler, 404 bonding hardware. So when I do the windows, I think I'm going to be backfilling with 404, where this, I'll use it inside to bridge the gaps. I got some 106 slow hardener, 206. The remains of some pretty old 205, which is the same as this. And I guess about, gosh, maybe a quarter, maybe a quarter of a tank of 105 epoxy resin.
And so it begins. Mixing the first pot of epoxy for the season. A tradition that's gone on since I bought the boat. After mixing up a batch of thickened epoxy, I loaded it into a West 810 caulking tube and started applying it to the damaged areas around the deadlight recess. Spring-loaded clamps were placed on the repair, and I moved on to filling in all the gaps created by cutting out the gel coat cracks. Looking at how thick the gel coat had been applied to the cabin top, it's not surprising it cracked. And I really wasn't looking forward to the next step. All this epoxy would need to be sanded back flush to the existing fiberglass. And even with a good orbital sander, this would be a big job. Fairing the deadlight recess was going to have to wait. That would be a specialty job, requiring some additional steps.
I just got to do a shitload of sanding after this.
Next, I needed to make a hardboard plug for the deadlight recess. With my cardboard template, I traced out the shape of the deadlight onto the hardboard and prepared to cut it out. This should have been a simple step. I mean, how hard is it to cut 3/16 hardboard? Well, as it turns out, very difficult. After a few inches of cutting, my saw would bind, forcing me to readjust and reset. The whole process took a long time and caused a lot of frustration. With a lot of patience, I managed to get it though.
What's going on with this material?
I tried a different saw, equipped with a fine blade, and it didn't seem to help. I'm pretty sure carpenters are laughing at this. The orbital sander fine-tuned all the cuts. Once the two pieces of hardboard were taped together, I trial fit it into the recess on the boat. I needed the hardwood plug to have very tight tolerances around the recess. The idea was that I would apply a bed of thickened epoxy to the recess, then lay the plug into it and let the epoxy cure. This would fill in all the valleys and undulating voids to create a perfectly flat surface for the new polycarbonate deadlight. Normally this amount of precision isn't needed, but since I would be using VHB tape instead of plexus to bond the polycarbonate, I needed a perfectly flat surface. I figured that I had about a 32nd of an inch of tolerance. Any more might cause a leak. Okay. And a simple sheet of wax paper would prevent the new hardwood plug from sticking to the epoxy base coat.
Okay, this next part is going to be a race against the clock. The whole idea is that I need to make a new surface for the new window to attach to. So I've got my template in place right now, loosely held in by some wood, like so. This is more or less the same technique that I used when I glued the windows in the first place. And so what I've got to do is spread some thickened epoxy on the template, drop it into the hole, drop the boards down onto it. When it's all dried, take the template off, and then I should have a new fresh surface.